Alright, let's talk about what's really going on with the Baltimore Ravens and this sudden praise coming from a guy who's made a living trashing Lamar Jackson. Because if you're a real Ravens fan, or even if you just pay attention to how narratives get spun in the NFL media, you already know this isn't some genuine change of heart. This is a setup. This is bait. And Baltimore cannot afford to fall for it. Not the team, not the fans, nobody. Now, let's be clear. Nick Wright is not just another sports analyst giving takes on ESPN. He's basically a Kansas City Chiefs hype machine. He's Patrick Mahomes' biggest cheerleader, probably has a Mahomes jersey in every color hanging in his closet. And there's nothing wrong with that. Loyalty is fine, fandom is fine, and when Mahomes is doing legendary things on the field, it makes sense to give him his flowers. But here's where it gets messy. That same energy is never, ever applied to Lamar Jackson. Not even close. Nick Wright has made it a point over the years to be one of the loudest voices against Lamar. The man treats Lamar Jackson like an afterthought, like a fluke, like someone who stumbled into greatness instead of dominating his way through the league. He'll downplay the MVP. He'll question the playoff record. He'll ignore the fact that Lamar has been carrying the Ravens year after year, often with less help than most top-tier quarterbacks. And every time he gets on his platform and throws shade at Lamar, it works. It gets clicks, it gets retweets, and most of all, it gets Ravens fans riled up. That's not by accident, that's the plan. But then, suddenly, this week, everything changes. Out of nowhere, Nick Wright puts Lamar Jackson on top of his Mahomes mountain, even above Josh Allen. But the shocker? He puts him above Patrick Mahomes himself. And of course, Ravens fans go wild. They're celebrating, they're reposting the clip, they're saying, finally, he came around. He's giving Lamar the respect he deserves. No, he didn't. And if you think he did, I hate to break it to you, but you've already taken the bait. This is not about giving Lamar his due. This is psychological warfare. This is calculated. Nick Wright knows exactly what he's doing. He knows that the Ravens play ESPN in their facility. He knows those players hear what's being said about them, good or bad. He knows that this team carries a chip on their shoulder every time the media doubts them. So what happens when the media suddenly starts hyping them up? What happens when the loudest critic flips and becomes a cheerleader? The edge dulls. That fire gets softer. The team starts to buy into the hype, starts to relax, starts to believe they've already arrived. That's the trap. This is all about messing with the Ravens' mentality, right before they're about to enter the biggest stretch of their season. Because you think it's just a coincidence that this sudden praise came right before the Ravens are scheduled to face the Chiefs? At Arrowhead? Absolutely not. Nick Wright is trying to soften Baltimore up before the war. He's trying to get inside their heads. And if you don't think NFL players are affected by this kind of media narrative, think again. The best players use criticism as fuel. The worst thing you can do is get too comfortable. So listen, Ravens fans, Ravens players, Ravens coaches, do not fall for this. Do not let your guard down just because the biggest troll in sports media decided to put some sugar on his words for once. Because when this game goes down, when the Ravens walk into Arrowhead to face Mahomes and company, all of that talk disappears. The only thing that will matter is what happens between the lines. And if this team buys into the hype, they're already a step behind. Now, switching gears real quick, because while we're talking about big games, let's talk about what's coming up Monday night. The Ravens are hosting the Lions at M&T-Bank Stadium, and this one has the potential to be a serious showdown. Detroit has been scrappy, they've been physical, and they've got momentum. But Baltimore's got something to prove. If you're going to that game, you already know the energy's going to be through the roof. And if it's your first time at a game, you're in for a treat. Matter of fact, one fan wrote in saying it's going to be his first NFL game ever, Ravens versus Chiefs, no less. That's one heck of a way to kick things off. He called himself a Kansas Raven, and he's hoping for a big win. Aren't we all? Especially when so many of us are hoping these mind games from the media don't get in the team's head before that game. And speaking of first games, man, I still remember mine. I think it was either Ravens versus Titans or Ravens versus Steelers. It was a long time ago, and I don't even remember all the plays. But I do remember one thing clear as day, Ray Lewis. Watching him come out of the tunnel, the intensity in his eyes, the way the whole stadium reacted when he started dancing, pumping his fists, getting the defense locked in. That energy? Unreal. On third downs, the big screen would flash to Ray, tongue out, barking out signals, getting the crowd loud. That wasn't just football, that was leadership. That was somebody whose presence lifted an entire team and an entire stadium. That's what made him special. And that's what Lamar Jackson is doing now. He's not Ray Lewis. They're different people, different eras, but he is a face of this city. Maybe not the face of Baltimore, but definitely one of them. Lamar has become more than just a quarterback. He's a symbol of hope, swagger, resilience. He brings people together. And yes, he's already right up there with Ray Lewis in terms of impact. Ray's got 2 rings. He's a Hall of Famer, no doubt. But Lamar, if he gets that Super Bowl win, if he brings that trophy home to Baltimore, he'll be standing shoulder to shoulder with the greatest Raven of all time. And you can tell Lamar loves this city. He's got heart. He gives back. He never backs down from criticism. He takes it all and keeps showing up. That's Baltimore. That's what makes him a true Raven. Now, one more thing. Let's talk about Christian Wilkins for a second. A fan brought him up, saying imagine what it would look like if the Ravens actually pulled that off. If they added Wilkins to that defensive front, paired him with someone like Michael Pierce or Broderick Washington, that defensive wall would be insane. Not only would it help the pass rush, but it would allow the secondary to breathe. It's a smart move. And yeah, there's some controversy around Wilkins, but that's the thing. The Ravens are one of the few organizations that know how to handle players with baggage. They do their homework. They know what they're doing. If he ends up in Baltimore, it won't be some rash move. It'll be calculated, just like everything else they do. But that's what fans want to see, smart, aggressive moves that keep this team elite on both sides of the ball. Because as one fan pointed out, why does it always feel like either the offense is clicking or the defense is? Why can't both show up at the same time? When they do, this team is nearly unstoppable. But that's football. That's the challenge. You don't just win on paper. You win by showing up every week, staying sharp, staying humble, and never believing your own hype. And while we're on the topic of staying locked in, there's something that every great team has to master: balance. Not just on the field, but mentally. Because it's one thing to be talented, it's another thing to stay consistent. And for the Ravens, that's been one of the biggest frustrations for fans. Why can't both sides of the ball dominate at the same time? 1 week, the offense comes out firing. Lamar's throwing dimes. The receivers are clicking. The run game is crushing it. But then the defense looks off. Next week, it's the opposite. The defense is flying around, making plays, forcing turnovers, but the offense looks like it's stuck in second gear. And fans are left sitting there asking, why can't we just put it all together? The answer? That's football. The NFL isn't built for perfection. It's built for chaos. It's built for adjustments. It's built for teams to punch you in the mouth and then see how you respond. And the best teams are the ones who can take those punches and come back swinging, even when one part of their game isn't clicking. That's what makes teams like the Chiefs, as annoying as it is to admit, so dangerous. Even when they're off, they find a way. But that's also why the Ravens need to keep building, to put themselves in that same position where off days still equal wins. Now, one fan brought up a really good point when he mentioned that Bills game. Watching that Buffalo offense do what it did had people asking questions. What happened to our defense? We invested all this money, made all these moves. Why did it fall apart? But again, that's the nature of the league. You're going to run into teams that are clicking. You're going to face quarterbacks who are locked in, offensive coordinators who call the perfect game. That doesn't mean your defense is broken. It means the other team had your number that day. And the real test is how you respond next week. Do you bounce back and dominate? Or do you start spiraling? That's the difference between contenders and pretenders. And speaking of bouncing back, the Ravens front office, led by Eric DeCosta, has shown time and time again that they're not afraid to make bold moves when necessary. Whether it's adding veteran pieces late in the season or making unexpected trades, EDC plays the long game. He's not just thinking about the next game, he's thinking about January. He's thinking about how to build a team that can not only get to the playoffs, but go deep. So when fans start dreaming about someone like Christian Wilkins in purple and black, it's not just wishful thinking. It's knowing that this organization has the structure, the leadership, and the reputation to pull off those kinds of moves. But if there's one thing that can't be solved with front office moves, it's the officiating. And yeah, here we go, the Chiefs and the refs. It's something fans have been noticing for years, but it's always the same story. The flags come out at just the right time for Kansas City. The questionable calls always seem to benefit the same team. And then you hear someone like Patrick Mahomes talk about how he just wants the refs to call a fair game. And it's like, come on, man. Really? You've had the benefit of the doubt in almost every big game you've played. Late hits that weren't called, questionable pass interference that goes your way, holding calls missed. It's been happening. And that's part of the reason why facing the Chiefs isn't just about beating their roster. It's about beating everything that comes with them. The mystique, the media bias, and yeah, sometimes even the refs. But Ravens fans know that already. We've been here. We've seen those heartbreaks. We've watched tight games slip away in the fourth quarter, not because the team wasn't good enough, but because the breaks didn't go their way. And that's what makes every single week feel like a battle. Because Baltimore has never been the golden child of the NFL. They've never been the media darlings. And that's okay. In fact, that's what makes it better when they win. Because nothing is handed to them. They've got to earn every inch. And that's why it's so important that this team doesn't let up now. Because this could be the year. Not in a let's cross our fingers and hope for the best kind of way. In a real, serious, we've got the pieces kind of way. Lamar Jackson is playing smart football. The offense has weapons. The defense, when locked in, can go toe-to-toe with anybody. Special teams, solid as ever. Coaching staff, experienced and innovative. The potential is all there. But the NFL doesn't reward potential. It rewards execution. And that's what these next few games are all about. Execution, discipline, blocking out the noise, whether it's criticism or praise. Because as dangerous as negativity can be, false praise might be even worse. And that's why the Nick Wright situation matters. It's not about him. It's about the message. The moment this team starts believing they've already made it, that's when the fall begins. That's when the cracks show. And if Baltimore wants to get through the AFC, which is stacked this year, they cannot afford even one mental slip. Because look around. The AFC is loaded. The Bengals are always dangerous when Joe Burrow is healthy. The Dolphins can run anyone off the field if their speed gets going. The Bills are inconsistent but explosive. The Jaguars are young but fearless. And then there's the Chiefs. The standard. The ones everyone is chasing. If the Ravens want to be taken seriously, it's not just about beating the bad teams. It's about showing up in the big games. On primetime. On the road. Against the heavyweights. So again, let's bring it back. Don't take the bait. Ignore the sudden praise from the same voices that were tearing this team down last month. Because this team hasn't accomplished anything yet. The real tests are coming. The real moments are still ahead. And if the Ravens keep their heads down, stay hungry, and play their brand of football, not the media's version, not the fans' fantasy, then they've got a shot to do something special. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support keeps us bringing you the latest news on the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear from the flock. The NFL rumor mill is buzzing this week as whispers of a major shakeup in Baltimore reach fever pitch. Sources close to the organization suggest that Zay Flowers, the young and electrifying wide receiver who has been turning heads since his rookie season, may be packing his bags and leaving the Ravens. Known for his agility, sharp route running, and ability to make defenders look foolish, Flowers has become a fan favorite and a focal point of the team's offense. Yet, behind closed doors, conversations are reportedly heating up about a potential move that could see the rising star flourish in a new environment. Insiders say Flowers has expressed a desire for a bigger role and more opportunities to showcase his talents. With the Ravens' crowded receiving core and a shifting offensive scheme, some sources hint that the organization might be willing to explore trade options, or at the very least, allow Flowers to test the free agent market. The speculation has sparked intense debate among analysts and fans alike. Could this be the start of a journey that propels Flowers into the next elite tier of NFL receivers? While no official announcements have been made, the buzz is undeniable. Social media is alight with theories about which teams could benefit from adding a dynamic weapon like Flowers. Some speculate that a team with an up-and-coming quarterback in need of a deep threat could be the perfect landing spot. Others suggest a veteran-led squad seeking to inject youthful speed and excitement into their offense. Wherever he lands, one thing seems certain. Zay Flowers is poised to blossom in a new setting, and NFL fans will be watching closely. For now, Ravens faithful are left with a mix of admiration and anxiety, watching a young star who has electrified their stadium potentially head for greener pastures. As trade rumors swirl and front offices quietly maneuver, the question remains, will Flowers take flight from Baltimore and truly flourish elsewhere, or is this just another chapter in the ongoing saga of the NFL's most tantalizing young talent? One thing is for sure, wherever Zay Flowers goes next, the NFL landscape is about to get a lot more interesting. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with exclusive news on our Baltimore Ravens, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what the flock thinks. Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.